Alrighty, welcome to episode 124 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla have released impressive production and delivery results. In Q4 last year, Tesla produced a record 439,701 vehicles with a record delivery of 405,728. This contributed to Tesla's best annual production of 1,369,611 vehicles, up 47% year on year, and the best annual deliveries of 1,313,851, up 40% year on year. Tesla will release its quarterly and annual financial results and hold an earnings call at 6:30 a.m. on Thursday, the 26th of January, Perth time. Tesla has announced an investor day to be held at Gigafactory, Texas on the 1st of March. Tesla states that our investors will be able to see our most advanced production line as well as discuss long-term expansion plans, Generation 3 platform, capital allocation and other subjects with our leadership team. French renewable energy company Neoen is set to construct Australia's second largest big battery at its Western Downs Green Power Hub south of Chinchilla in Queensland. The new project, partially funded by the Australian Renewable Energy Agency, will have a capacity of 400 megawatt hours and be able to deliver 200 megawatts of power for load shifting and system stability services previously provided by synchronous fossil fuel generators. Tesla's Global Vice President in charge of APAC, Tom Zhu, has now effectively been promoted to Tesla's second-in-command behind Elon Musk, with the addition of responsibilities making him the head of operations and sales in the US and Europe. He has also been given responsibility for Tesla's assembly plants in the US. These new responsibilities make Zhu an all but certain replacement candidate for Elon Musk at Tesla if and when Musk decides to step away from Tesla's top position. In what appears to be a concession to many owners' objections to its unconventional steering yoke fitted to refreshed Model S and X vehicles, Tesla has now changed its order pages to offer a conventional round steering wheel by default and its steering yoke as a selectable no-cost option. Tesla has dropped the prices for all its models in the Asia-Pacific region, including Australia, with prices falling by between $1,600 and $3,400. All variants have received significant price reductions. Most notable is the fact that the rear-wheel drive Model Y's price has now returned to its initial Australian launch price. In further good news for current order holders, any orders previously placed at a higher price and not yet delivered will be invoiced at the now lower price. Tesla has once again topped Australia's annual EV sales tally. Of the 33,410 battery electric vehicle sales reported by VFACTS in 2022, Tesla accounted for 19,594 sales, or nearly 59%. Tesla's Model 3 ended the year with 10,877 sales, edging out the recently released Model Y, which sold 8,717 units since being launched 6 months into last year. And that was this week's news.
Can't hear you, Harold.
Oh, and apologies for that pregnant pause at the very end. I had to manually start that as well as manually unmute myself.
That's right.
But nonetheless, welcome everyone. For anyone that's new, please do, if you dare, say hello and tell us about yourself and your awesome car that you've either got recently or have on order, if there's anyone that wants to do that in this awesome start of the show. Perhaps later.
There's no one else.
Oh,
there's no one else.
Sorry, go David.
I've had my Model 3 for 3 years and it's now on the market, as I expect to get my Model Y at the end of the month. So if anyone's interested in a standard range plus Model 3, give me a call. It's done 40,000, 49,000.
Welcome back, David. And I wasn't expecting an impromptu advertisement, but that's totally cool. I suggest that you take a number, because I think from a couple of episodes ago, we're at about 120 odd Model 3s on car sales in Western Australia. So you might kindly like to take a number in the sales order of of Model 3s, as
Okay.
everyone quite rightly decides to flip their 3s in favour of a Y. But anyway, welcome back in any case, David.
Thank you.
Anyone that's actually new that wants to say hello?
Yeah, hello. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I'll go Sarah. Ladies first. Sarah, welcome.
That's very kind of you. How are you going? I'm Sarah. I think I know a couple of faces from various meets this year. I'm a bit of an interloper, as you'll see. I'm an Atto 3 owner, not a Tesla owner. But here to pick the brains of those that have trod the path before me, because planning a trip fairly soon, towards the end of this week, in fact, from Perth to Sydney, return in my Atto 3.
Jeez.
And yeah, just hoping to get some wisdom from those that have done it before, knowing, of course, that I can't use your Tesla superchargers or many of the Tesla specific chargers. So it adds another layer of complexity to the whole deal. But it's fun in planning. So yeah, just here to pick some brains.
And it will be even more fun in the execution, trust me.
Yeah,
it'll be a
I'm
lot
sure
of fun.
it will be. Yeah, staring at the piece of paper in the spreadsheet isn't quite as adventurous as being out there. So.
No, but we'll do a deep dive into that a little bit later, because as I mentioned before the program, we've got a couple of people that are joining us from the future, as opposed to me last episode, which was joining everyone from the past. And we've got Charles and Pete. Now, Pete, I know Pete's actually got some family obligations, because he's actually brought his, I think he's brought his Tesla Widow with him, and the Tesla orphans as well, Pete.
I have, yes, the whole orphan family. Yes, we're all here to visit my brother, who's in the process of creating a Tesla Widow, because he's just bought his second Tesla, just in time for us to come and help him put a few miles on it, taking it to Melbourne.
Fantastic. Well, welcome from the future, Pete. And
Thanks,
Charles, Chuck, you're obviously as equally forward in the future, 3 hours in fact. It's almost 11 minutes to 11.
It's almost bedtime.
It's almost bedtime. And thanks for joining us, Chuck, and have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
See you then. That's why I tend to, when I leave, I tend to just sneak out quietly halfway through, because I'm just, exhausted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But welcome nonetheless. And actually, do you have any, if you got any news to tell us in particular, which would be very interesting to us, or just general chat?
Oh, well, I was going to say, have you seen any of the ChemPower sites on your network pop up yet? Because I know there's a few sites that are sort of tagged as starting construction soon, and I just thought we've had 2 ChemPower sites appear here in Tassie, and I thought just wanted to see if you had any equivalent sites to share.
Well, we have, in that Cowbarry, Geraldton and Northampton have been announced, and those pins are actually on PlugShare.
Yeah.
And I believe they were actually placed by Synergy, but they're in construction at the moment. I've only just gotten back from Europe a few days ago, so I haven't had a chance to actually go and have a look myself. Unfortunately, it's 400 k's away, so it's a bit of a day trip. But I do believe they were announced as construction commencing, and I presume they're probably pretty close to being installed, if not already, but not necessarily actually running yet. But we do have a couple of people in Geraldton, based in Geraldton, and I just haven't contacted them yet to find out what's going on.
Yeah, I did see there was another Facebook post from the WA government today, I think. Just, another announcement saying what they're doing. I think I saw a cheeky post from Rob Dean saying if only we could power EVs by the number of media releases that get put out by the state government. But I'm sure it'll happen soon enough.
Cool. What I didn't see, I was ignorant. I didn't see the government's Facebook post. Was it just saying, "Hey, we're building it," or anything
pretty much
new?
the same as this is pretty much the same. I think they did say something about the first ones will be complete start of next year, and I think they meant start of this year. I would hope so anyway.
You mean the first one? Oh, right, that's a classic. Yeah, okay. And was that a post from today, or?
I think it was today. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, because they have the actual complete project with the exception of the Nullarbor charges, is due to be complete by the end of by the beginning of next year. So that's accurate. But if it was just the initial installations, well, then it should be within the next few weeks, barring any unforeseen circumstances.
Fair enough. I've just dropped a link into the chat there of the PlugShare site in Tassie that has it's the first live ChemPower site, I think, in the country, possibly.
Oh, cool. Let me just get the chat up so I can open that up.
Yeah, so
and share it.
You guys are getting the ones with the separate posts, is that right? I think
No. So this one here, I forget what this is actually, which series this is called. We're actually getting the one that has. Sorry, I haven't shared that screen. So there it is there. So this has got the satellite post, and then you've got your main power unit.
That's it.
So this is a 4-way split. That's interesting. Or they're 2 power units.
Yeah, 2 units. I actually took some detailed photos there, but I haven't put them on PlugShare. But at the moment, it's an 80 kilowatt combined for the whole site. And when you start charging, the display drops down on the remaining connectors, drops down to 40 kilowatts per connector. And I presume if you plug 2 at once, it drops down even further, but that's yet to be tested.
Right. So if only one car is on, is it 80 kilowatts max?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and there's space for more. Well, obviously, if you've been following the ChemPower stories from Bjorn, you can see that you'll be aware that the module is modules can be increased. So the idea is that it's just 80 for now, just to see what demand's like, and then they'll add more later on.
Yeah, cool. So in Western Australia, we're actually getting the 150 kilowatt units first up. So just as I don't have handy. So James has just said CCS and Chatamo. Is that no? Yes, it is, isn't it, Charles?
On the link I did, yeah. It was.
That's a shame.
So your Tasmania, so the ones that you've got in Tassie, you've got Chatamo and CCS.
Yeah, so there's 2 posts, each of them with 1 CCS and 1 Chatamo. So
right, that's
at least there's 2 CCS, so that's what they'll cope with that amount.
Yeah, absolutely.
Charles, what are they going to do when they get more than 1 electric car in Tasmania?
Oh, that old joke.
What's the plan there?
Hang on, let's just scroll across on that picture there. There might be a photo with 2 cars there at once. No, there's not.
No, there's not. Is there? No, there is only 1.
Yeah, it's just a mirror. It's just a mirror action.
That's right.
Oh, and you can actually see there, the Chatamo obviously is limited to 50 kilowatts because it's a standard Chatamo, and then you've got 75.
Yeah, that was curious. I've actually used this site 4 times, I think, and each time the display for the CCS, once it said 80, once it said 75, and once it said 60. So I think it's dynamically using the load from the building it's attached to, which is an aquatic centre, and I think it's dynamically dialing down the output based on that. So it's kind of a efficient way of not having to pay for grid upgrades, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be interested to see you guys or hear what you guys think, but to me they just look incredibly vandalism prone, the design.
Well, there is, if you look on the picture of the Model Y that Harold had up before.
Yeah, just 2 seconds. Yep.
If you look on the far right, you can see a little camera above the top there.
Yep.
So that's one thing. This was installed by Electric Highway Tasmania, and they install cameras at all their sites. So
good idea.
If there is vandalism, at least they'll know who it is, and it's council property, so they'll be interested to know as well.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm just trying to bring up the ChemPower website. Oh, slow mouse.
That's
because
right.
The units that we're actually getting in WA are slightly different.
I'll just post another link, which might be what you're after as well.
But we won't have cameras on most of them.
because of their remoteness.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the unit here, and it actually has the cables and plugs attached to the actual DC box itself.
Yep.
So in fact, this is precisely the unit we'll be getting with the cable strain relief and 2 CCSs, and they will be 150 kilowatts total, and then shared between the two.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, actually, I've just posted another plug share link. Sorry to keep throwing links.
Okay. No. Oh, the more links, the merrier. I'm all good for that. I'm all up for that. So we've got, this one is Imlay Street.
Yep, that's the one.
There you go. And
that looks like it might be similar.
Yes,
to what,
that's the one.
Yeah. This one's still under construction, but
Yep.
That's,
Yep. And then I think I saw the specs. Oh no! Oops, back. There we go. So it looks like a maximum capacity you can go to is 200 kilowatts.
That sounds right.
When all the modules are full. And it's funny, yeah, and that's the Charger D, that's the D series. And it's interesting that you mentioned Bjorn Nyland, because he's actually done some great videos actually at Kempower's factory. And one of the very interesting things that he mentioned was that these things are actually upgradable. So I can't remember what this latest innovation was. I think they're going to have liquid cooled cables as an option.
Yep.
That's something that's very interesting to us, particularly in WA, in the northern parts, or even when it's hot. One thing that's not ideal with the Kempower system at the moment is that the cables that our chargers are going to have will be the standard, I think it's 250 amp cables or something like that. Well, they're not water cooled, basically. They're not the HPC Phoenix cables. So what it means is, even though if one car rocks up and plugs in, the Kempower main unit is capable of producing 150 kilowatts. You would only get that for a very short amount of time before the cable heats up, and then it will have to derate down to a lower current if you're the only car there. If there are two cars, there's no problem, because both cars will get the 75 kilowatts, since that's basically the 250 odd amps multiplied by the 400 volts that most packs are. But as Bjorn Nyland has shown at the Kempower factory, that is actually upgradable. And I think there was something else that they were doing as well to do with dynamic power or splitting. I think they could even have additional satellite units you could retrofit and then split, have multi-splits, bit like your site there, your first site on PlugShare, Chuck, with the 4 outlets from a single power unit.
Yep.
So you could actually split them up in interesting ways.
Yeah, that's good. There's a couple of, at least we've got the two main Kempower systems here. So we'll have more of a test once they're all installed and see how they go. But I think there's going to be Kempower units in South Australia as well. They're going with the same. And is there somewhere else? I can't remember. I think possibly some of the New South Wales government funded sites might be, but I've forgotten the details.
Yes.
But it's good to get some variety though.
I think that's right. I think some of the New South Wales sites are doing it as well, but South Australia certainly is. It looks like you guys certainly are, and we obviously are as well. Just trying to come up. James has very kindly sent a link for the video, and I'm just trying to get to the power units. James, you might want to, I haven't seen this video for a little while. Can you recall what the main upgradability was, feature that they were working on?
I only watched it a couple of days ago. It was basically everything, as you said. They can add more satellites to the base stations, and they can also upgrade the base station to have more capacity. But the biggest problem is the power in. You can't upgrade past the power in.
Yes, sorry, no, I actually now do remember what it was. What it was is and I think, Chuck, actually, let's go back to that placard, which is here. Yes. So if you see here, the output, the DC voltage maximum is 500 volts.
Yeah.
So what Bjorn Nyland showed in the video, and I'll see if I can just bring it. It's a slightly different coloured DC power unit, and it's actually got these ones in this image are the standard ones, and then I think further along they've actually got orange coated. They've got orange bits on them, and they're actually upgraded. So what Kempower are doing is they're upgrading their power units so they can output from effectively 0 to 1,000 volts, which means that EVs with the higher voltage would be able to get the higher power levels with the lower power cable or the lower current cable. So that was the extra upgrade that Kempower are also providing, multi-switching and a voltage upgrade, which will be useful in Tesla land for things like Cybertruck, which has already been announced as being an 800/1000 volt battery class. And obviously your Hyundai Ioniqs and Kia EV6s and others with the 800 volt pack would benefit by getting higher charging capacity than otherwise would.
Yeah.
Hey, Harold, speaking of Cybertrucks, I've just remembered the bit of news from Rob Mauer's video about the 9,000 pound IDRA gigapress that IDRA put up a post on LinkedIn saying that one was heading for Asia and apparently had red and white color coding. That's incredibly interesting. Obviously, the speculation is, number one, is it for Tesla, which sounds like it could be? And if it is it for the Generation 3 platform, or is it for Cybertrucks out of Shanghai?
Yes, and in fact, I'm just trying to get that image. I'm going to have to cheat and just use the Tesserati headline, but basically there's an image of it right there. And yeah, like you say, Pete, what's interesting is there's this red part, which is the same color scheme as Tesla. I guess the only thing we don't know is, has IDRA ever produced any other press with red bits prior to Tesla? And I guess that's a bit of research I just didn't have time to do. Because if they had, then that might have put a bit of cold water on the Cybertruck. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome and amazing if China decided to produce a Cybertruck, for any market for that matter, let's say the European market or even the Australian market? Be very interesting. But maybe I think, Pete, it might be more likely to be to do with the
Model 2 or whatever it's going to be called.
Model 2. Let's call it the Model 2.
Or Robo-taxi or whatever. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Would they be tooling up for a vehicle they're not going to sell for another 2 years or so, though?
Highly doubt it.
So it'd be more likely to be Cybertruck.
Yeah, but it'd be very unlikely. Well, yeah. But it's going to Asia, Charles. So that's sort of saying that they might be tooling for Cybertruck.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, what markets would Shanghai service for Cybertrucks? I mean, we know the Australian market. So we sold 19,594 Teslas in Australia in 2022, which is out of the 1.3 million that Tesla sold, 0.2% or something. So surely, Australia or New Zealand isn't even going to move the needle. Europe maybe, but Europe's not a big SUV market. So you've got to sort of scratch your head.
Thailand.
Yeah, who said Thailand?
Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thailand.
That's not a big SUV market either.
Pickup trucks. They're nuts for the pickup trucks, man.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Well, to be
remember,
honest with you,
remember
Sorry,
though, the numbers that came out from the US, I think a Tesla was number 5 out of cars sold. 1, 2, 3, and 4 were trucks. They sold like 500,000 units each. Australia had also 1, 2, and 3 are trucks. They are the
Hilux.
most profitable Hilux in so many South Africa, Thailand, as you say, Malaysia. These are actually a huge seller. Look at the numbers. You know, you're selling 20,000 Model 3s in these markets.
53,000 Hiluxes, I think, James.
Yeah.
So, yeah, could be. Yeah, I mean, but even 50,000, combine that, you know, even with another, I'd say 30 or 40. Let's say they sell 100,000 Teslas in Australia. My prediction is 69,420, just to have a nice round number. Yeah, let's say they sell that. That's, you know, by next year they'll sell over 2 million cars. So it's still going to be less than 0.5%.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so intriguing, this whole thing. It's just, yeah, it's mind-boggling. I suppose we'll find out on 1st of March, but yeah.
Maybe it's the whole car. You know, like a little car or something. Like more of it or something.
If it was little, it could be the whole car. But
it could be a
like have that and then you break it up.
Yeah, a single casting for the whole car.
Yeah.
Or is it two? Or could it be half castings, 2 half ones for the whole car? So, like, say a front half, in other words, to the B pillar, and then a rear half to the B pillar. So have rather than
I think the Model 2, or call it whatever, you know, the Generation 3 platform will either have to be. Well, not have to be, but I think, well, it probably will have to be you know, the 25 USK price point. It will have to be either two parts or a single piece, single casting.
Yeah, to be cheap. Yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully it's
that's actually a good point.
But then, like someone has said before, that implies that they're almost ready for production, which could be interesting, because that would be the first time that Tesla that Tesla may announce a product and then be able to produce it quite quickly, which would be even more interesting.
And that would make sense, Harold, because when you think about their whole roadmap or their pipeline of products, they would have been expecting to, you know, internally to announce this, you know, 18 months, 2 years ago, and be in production now. It's only been held up because of COVID and a bottleneck in the supply of batteries, because it was just much more profitable to just ramp up the Model Y. So, you know, it could be it. They could just announce it, and Elon might say, production starting next week.
Good would that be?
Well, that would be a great short burn, wouldn't it? That would be a big bolster to Tesla share price, which I think the last week or so has gone down to the lowest levels in a couple of years. I think $101 I saw in the intraday. So that would be a big fillet for the share price.
Yeah.
As a sudden product release, and with, you know, deliveries in the next months or 6 months, which would be pretty exciting. I have got the image of, I think it was kindly supplied by Jared, of the government's announcement. Is that what it was, Jared, that you texted me? Yes.
I've been pretty sure it was. There was some other stuff from Ukraine on the other side, that one, but I think that was last night that I sent that to you. The other stuff was...
Okay, so this was just this image here. I'll just make sure everything's cool. Yes, it is. And that's this one here. Is that what you saw, Chuck? Is that?
Yeah, that's it.
So really, this is just a re-announcement of what we already know is happening.
Right.
And I did have a quick.
Sorry.
It's like a Tesla with a front. It's just a non-EV. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like someone got a Tesla image and wanted to make it look like a Leaf.
It's an
Um,
Nissan and a Model Y crossover.
That is very disturbing. But I've had a quick look at all of the pins, and none of them have changed, which is the main thing. Even though you can see, like, Northampton isn't northwest of Geraldton; it's actually kind of northeast or northeast of Geraldton. But perhaps whoever made this image thought that looked nicer.
Yeah. They kind of cut Exmouth off. It's like there's no.
Yes, and there's no protuberance of Exmouth. So perhaps this is after a little bit of global warming or something's happened, a bit of sea level rise. But
And the flood was pretty full on, but it wasn't that full on, was it?
no, that's right. But yeah, actually, speaking of flooding, I mean that's a slight concern. It's actually a good thing that the fast DC charger wasn't installed at Fitzroy Crossing. Otherwise, it would undoubtedly have been underwater and in need of replacement. But anyway, but yeah, thanks, for that, Jared. Is that's what you saw, Chuck, as the announcement on Facebook? That map?
Yeah, that sounds right. That was it.
Yeah, cool.
It's just another map with different icons, just to to remind people.
Yeah, that's right. You always keep announcing the good news multiple times, and I guess you'll only announce the opening of it once. You only get one chance to do that, and we all look forward to it. Alrighty, so in the meantime, is anyone else that is new would like to say hello before we move into general questions, or do both at once?
Yeah, hi. The video's come up, I assume.
Oh, yes, David, welcome.
Yep, all good, mate.
Okay, thanks, and very interested in the group. I'm one of those people who procrastinated. I'd made a decision to buy a wire some 12, 18 months ago, perhaps, and when the opportunity arose, I procrastinated, and I only got my order in early October. So I'm currently waiting for delivery in one of the February to May deliveries. So, but certainly interested to understand and learn and get involved, and can't wait to get the car.
Oh, so welcome. Look, procrastination, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's useful because sometimes whatever you're procrastinating about doesn't actually have to happen because circumstances change. But look, it's better late than never. And look, you never know your luck. One thing we have become acutely aware of is that Western Australia is getting extraordinarily good service from Tesla as far as deliveries go, or actual production of cars and allocations to WA compared to the rest of Australia. So I think we're notionally getting almost like twice our per capita entitlement, which means that people that ordered into August have already got their Model Ys, whereas on the Eastern Seaboard, there were people that were day one order holders that still hadn't gotten their Ys until last quarter. And I think some of them might still be outstanding. I'm not entirely certain, but ignoring the people that have ordered performance cars. So did you order a standard range or rear wheel drive Model Y, David, or a performance?
Yes. No, I just
right,
went for the standard rear wheel drive Y and the silver grey. But yeah, I get reminded quite frequently as I drive around Perth, the number of Ys in town, and I believe we've had two shipments. So, but yeah, I patiently wait and and to see when the next ship. I often tell people that they come out in shipments of 450, I believe. So to help my cause, if they got their order in and fill that ship up as quick as possible, we might see it early. So, but look,
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
for the opportunity of introducing to the group, and I'll come up to speed with some of the chat and banter, and hopefully be in a better position to contribute with time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're here to help. We've got a whole portfolio of prior videos that if you suffered from any form of insomnia, you could cure that very quickly. But obviously the trick is not to try and learn everything all at once, because it just becomes overwhelming. You just sort of drip feed yourself with incremental bits of knowledge, and you sort of learn as you go, really. As like any product, even modern smartphones, a lot of people only know a small fraction of what the thing can actually do, but that's what gets you by day to day, and
Sure.
gets the job done.
Yeah.
So the good news for you too, obviously, being a prior order holder, is, and I've just got a version of this spreadsheet here. So
Yes,
obviously,
price-
when you ordered,
price
the
reduction.
price was higher.
Yeah.
So the price has now come down, basically $3,400, the base price. So that's good. And since I'm actually on this spreadsheet, there are a couple of other price reductions. That was in the red paint option, went down from $2,900 to $2,400. The 19-inch Sport Model 3 wheels went down from $2,200 to $1,800, and the 20-inch Model Y inductions went from $2,900 to $2,400. So obviously, for anyone that's ordered any of those bits, that will also be the new price. I believe there are some people that particularly basically who ordered Model 3s a long time ago, where the base price for the Model 3 was even less than today's prices. That price will also be honoured. But I think there's a slight complication. It might have been if it was red or you got sport wheels, the new price, the price that you would have paid was higher. So there's going to be a mix. There's going to be basically a mix of, Tesla will basically make sure that you will get the cheapest possible price, which is a combination of the price you ordered it at and any accessories. Whatever's the cheapest version of that is what you'll pay for.
We should
So you sort of,
just recognise how good this is from Tesla, as far as customer, service is concerned, I suppose. I don't know of any other car maker, I don't know of any other auto manufacturer that would let you have your cake and eat it too. So if the price rises, Tesla historically has honoured the initial price, but when it drops as well, they pass on the savings to you. In fact, I've heard of one gentleman who's already paid for his Model Y, but he hasn't got delivery of it, and Tesla proactively sent him a new invoice and said, we'll be issuing you a refund. I mean, can you imagine any car dealer doing that? I mean, it's just really, they need to be, we criticize them when they make mistakes, but when they do, fantastic things like this, we need to call it out as well and just say how unusual and how great it is for current owners or order holders.
Yeah, great point, Pete. And that is a point that should be highlighted, because there's no other manufacturer on earth that's going to do that for you, basically. So dead right, Pete. Now, speaking of which, there's been a lot of discussion about these latest price reductions and what does it mean? Because all the Tesla bears will say is, well, Tesla's run out of demand. And I'll just try and bring this up. We've got a few statements from a Tesla China executive, Grace Tao, and she basically was explaining in her terms, and unfortunately I'm going to have to use Teslarati again, apologies for that, and not going to the original source. But what she basically said was, the biggest difference between 2023 and last year is that the epidemic is basically over, and we believe that the supply chain has largely returned to normal and will not experience the various unpredictable shortages of materials that have occurred in previous years, leading to uncertainty in costs. In my personal opinion, price adjustments reflect our good planning for the supply chain to a certain extent. We expect that the vehicle cost will be approximately and then make such adjustments according to this expectation. I think approximately the same. That I think Teslarati have misquoted the Google translation. So it's basically a case of Tesla even explained this at one of the quarterly earnings calls when prices went up, and they basically, and I think they also removed some prices off cars that had very long lead times. I think this was mainly in the States, and an explanation was, well, there's firstly no point trying to take orders for things that are so far out because everything's too volatile, people have to wait too long. But for the other cars that still had long lead times, but they had a price, they had to put it up because they had no idea what the spot price for all of the materials would be and the supply constraints and the expedite costs that were going to occur over the ensuing, 6 to 12 months of the time that order would be in place. So what it looks like, I actually think it's a very bullish stance by Tesla, because what it's showing is that Tesla quite rightly were conservative in their cost estimations. In other words, they were pessimistic, well, should I say pessimistic of the costs, which then gave them a conservative pricing structure, and now they're unwinding it. And to basically have that apply to all the cars that are in transit now means that Tesla already knows that they're building those cars for less than they actually thought, which is a great thing.
And Tesla was probably also pricing in the uncertainty. So the longer the time frame, the more uncertainty. And the one thing that you can say about that period of time was that commodity prices were just all over the place, and there was futures prices were all over the place. There was just no way to know what the price was going to be. So they rightly so built in a volatility margin or a uncertainty premium, if you like, which they now, once again, rightly are unwinding.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, James, you've actually sent me a link to the Daily Telegraph. Unfortunately, the whole page has come up. So unless it's on that page, which perhaps it is, and that's basically saying that Toyota buyers have been hit with price increases on cars they've already ordered. So there's a car company that said, we don't care. Even if you've got an order in place, we've just upped the price on you. So I don't see it on this page right this moment.
Oh, I think it's behind a paywall, so you might have a bit of difficulty.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, no worries. But basically that's evidence of another car maker doing the opposite to Tesla. So once again, it just shows that Tesla is different to the rest.
The biggest car maker in the world by volume.
Absolutely.
Or is Hyundai now?
Still Toyota.
Still Toyota, yeah.
I think it's still Toyota.
But not for long.
Well, and speaking of which, we had in the news the figures, and I'm just going to try and bring them up to remind myself what they actually were. But we had the figures for, here we go. Model 3 ended with 10,877 sales in Australia, and that actually beat out the Toyota Camry. So speaking of Toyota, obviously the next thing we need to do, because, even though Model Y only had 8,717 units, that was with a 6-month, not a head start, a penalty. So that was only 2 quarters of deliveries, basically. So clearly, Model Y is going to go gangbusters this year. Absolutely. And you've got these whole rump of performance Model Ys that are yet to be manufactured or delivered, which will also, add to those numbers.
And wouldn't have it wouldn't even been it would have been more than 6 months actually, because especially in WA, we didn't get our cars. Do you remember when we got our car first?
The end of August, you guys.
End of August, yeah.
We got
end of August.
September.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I mean, the irony, the prices now is what we paid back in June. So you know how they were going on about it dropping. I'm like, it's effectively gone nowhere. So they've sort of made 6 months worth of money for nothing. So that just drops to the margin.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
checked
right.
that.
So, but and the good thing is, like I said, for WA in particular, not so much for the eastern states, WA has been getting it's far ahead in its delivery schedule for orders placed than the rest of the eastern seaboard, and it's just an interesting thing. WA is always coined as wait a while, but Tesla seems to have warmed up to us in this state and is giving us some very good service, which is great to
Absolutely.
see.
Now we
Yeah,
just
but
go
no superchargers.
superchargers, please.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
sir.
hearing you there. Sadly, actually, we've got Alex who's right behind. The supercharger has been installed right at the front of his place, and he's actually sitting right in front of it.
Yep.
Any progress on is it Pinjarra Road at all, Alex?
Rob and Robin have been driving past on a weekly basis, and nothing to report as of yet. So I'm sure Tesla will probably make a move on that one very shortly, I suppose, in the very near future. So
Fingers
that
crossed.
is what we heard. Fingers crossed.
Where's that one?
Pinjarra Road. I think it's the BP. I think. And it's
Yeah, so Chuck, the true answer is we don't actually know. The pin, I think it says, does it say Pinjarra Road on the website? I think it might not.
Oh, is this Mandurah?
actually, I'm on there.
Yes,
at the moment.
Mandurah.
Yeah.
Actually, the pin is on Pinjarra Road, and we're just surmising that it will be somewhere on Pinjarra Road. But then Tesla is quite famous at putting pins, not necessarily, they'll just put it in the geographic centre of a region or something like that. So it's not necessarily Pinjarra Road.
Was it one of the leaked addresses a few months ago?
Yeah, but I think it only said Pinjarra Road.
Oh, right.
So it wasn't specific enough. It didn't have a lot number or a street number. But yeah, I think you're right, Chuck. It did say Pinjarra Road. It just didn't say where.
I read somewhere the Gull Servo on Penny Road.
Yeah, I think the goal's now called Vibe or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Vibe.
Yep. Or the Puma. Well, it was a Puma.
I just
or
did an
something, and it's now
experiment.
Vibe.
Copy.
If you just go to Google Maps and just type in Pinjarra Road, the pin is dropped in that spot. So it's like that's just the default Pinjarra Road location
Yes.
for Google Maps.
Yeah.
So it could actually be anywhere on Pin. All right, that's a good scoop, James. So
I'm just pulling
Thanks,
it up.
James.
Hang on. As we speak.
While you do that, Alex, can I just say you've got probably the best background picture on this group. I reckon you're giving Harold a good run for his money. I just love when you walk in, when you walk out and walk in. Looks like you're actually walking in through the charger. You've got to give us another demo. Just get up and walk back in. It's pretty cool. Yeah, but you got to bend. You got to dip your head a bit as you come in. Yeah.
Good luck, bend down a little bit. Hang on.
The red part of his other business that he's got, Pete, is a little massage business in Mandurah. I read about it's not really the Tesla thing. Done very well, aren't you, Alex, with that business?
You've got one of those in the background there too, Jared.
Got one of what?
Oh yes, you do
red
too.
charger.
A little
On your right
charger.
shoulder.
Yeah, takes
Yes.
one to know one, Jared.
It does, exactly right. I don't think I can get through that though, Pete. I'll try, but I don't reckon that I'll actually
Do you
get through
know,
it.
I've actually got one on my desk at work, and that's actually how I knew that another one of my colleagues in my office has a Tesla, because he had one as well, and I was like, I know what you've got, and now we talk.
Oh, that's awesome.
Actually,
I bought one of them for George last Christmas, and I honestly have to say, it's absolutely useless, and it's the biggest thing I reckon I've ever wasted $50 on.
Oh yeah, but it's brilliant though. It's utterly useless. It's just a cable cover.
I thought it was like a
Exactly.
power bank or something, Richard, and then I get it for George, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
In the US though, they actually do have a power bank, a Tesla power bank. But yeah, it's not in the Australian store, unfortunately.
They do. Now, speaking, it's a great segue, very good segue of superchargers and things you can get from Tesla's store, because I've actually got something. I'm going to do an unboxing. This is something I got in Vienna, because you can't buy it in the Australian store. So I'm just going to.
You're going to make us jealous, Harold.
So I'm just going to spotlight myself. It's fragile, so you got to handle it with care, from Tesla. It's
shot glasses.
Do we need to raise our glasses for this?
So you're gonna
No,
be
you
shot
don't.
glasses.
It's not shot glasses. So what I'm going to do is
it fobs?
no. That's another good one. Let me just open it.
Don't cut yourself.
Yeah, can we have before we open it, can we run a sweep and everyone puts their answers into the chat?
Oh yeah, okay, go on. Go on then.
I don't think I should, because I think I know what it is.
Yeah,
I think
Pete,
No, if
I
you got
think Pete
inside
might
information, you can't do that.
So it's a little bit awkward doing I need to lower the camera. So I've obviously not seen the inside of this either. Oh look, there's paper inside.
Yeah, I think.
So- I'll take this out.
Oh, I don't know, it's quite light.
I think it might be a box in a box.
Box in a box in a box.
Oops. Spin it
Yeah.
around. Take the plastic out.
The small charging device, possibly.
Oh, it's got another little bit of plastic there I've got to take off. Just hope I don't drop it.
Oh, one of those
Plaid
plaid cup.
What's that?
Nice.
Actually, I didn't know you were.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's
That's cool.
It's a plaid
I
plaid
haven't
cup.
seen-
Plaid cup.
I haven't seen that on the store.
Oops. No, it's not in the Australian store. It's in the American store and the European. I got this in the Austrian store.
That's pretty cool.
So that's a plaid original coffee cup.
Wow. Cool.
So there you go. There's a little, it's called the plaid mug. And I think there's nothing interesting in that. No, it's just oh yes, English. Dishwasher and microwave safe. Hand wash for best results. Oh, it's made in China. There you go.
Cool.
So that was Ask Us Anything's live unboxing of something you can't buy here, frustratingly. But
So annoying.
Hey,
maybe
Harold,
soon.
did you end up getting into a Plaid while you're away?
The short answer is no. The long answer is the Plaid S and X test drives started the day after I arrived in Perth. So started on Monday, basically. So the last opportunity for me to have a drive was last Thursday, because Friday was a public holiday. And I rang Tesla and they said, no, unfortunately, the Plaid S and X's won't be in the showrooms until that Monday, 4 days later. So
Okay.
no, Damo, I didn't. Now, we obviously know that Nigel, what do we know? Nigel
He
has
said it,
been in
right?
a Model X.
He's been in a plaid. Harold.
Yes, in a Plaid Model X, not an S though that we know of, unless he's managed to do that since.
Nigel's been in a Plaid X.
Yeah, he put a
Yes.
video up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, I haven't talked to him. That's awesome. I
No,
didn't even
he's
know.
yep. So he's been in
can get
that,
the driver.
and his video I'll bring up. Actually, if someone can please, James, you're my great producer. Can you please put that link up? Because it'll look a lot easier than me sort of typing away on the screen. But yeah, so no, Damo, I didn't. I missed it by that much.
Spewing, Harold.
That's all right. There'll be another time. There'll be another time.
In 4 years when we get it here.
Look, I think the end of next year Sorry. Look, we could get it. It's possible we could get it early-ish next year. Let's call it 14 months.
They started deliveries in Europe last week.
Oh no! Before then, no. Several weeks ago, Pete. It was.
Great.
It was one of the previous Ask Us Anythings. I actually showed footage of a few photos of the opening celebration, and deliveries were the next day. So they were definitely squarely in December. They had deliveries.
Oh, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Late December. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Wait,
Alex is sharing something.
So this is this is the proposed location. I'm just gonna work out how to use this thing. So that's where I can't zoom on there. So yeah, that's
Alex.
That's the Puma in
Oh,
Barriga.
Oh,
And that's where we think where the charge is going to go.
Right.
Where I've circled in the blue.
That's a good spot.
So that's where we think it's going to go. I just got another picture. Whoops, let me go back into it. Stop share for a sec. Then I've got another picture as well where it's zoomed out. So I'm just going to go and do that.
While you're doing that, while you're finding it, I would doubt a bit sharp at Puma. Puma's just been bought by Chevron and they've been rebadged as Caltex and they're bringing out their own chargers.
Right.
Not here in Australia yet or WA yet, but the Puma will become a Caltex. And so I doubt they'll want Tesla on their premises.
So it's going to be very interesting because I know Ampol down the road, they're going to probably put their own chargers in down there too. So it's going to be very interesting where these chargers are going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thanks, Chris. I've got Grumpy Old Man's video. I'll just put him on mute. We'll see how he goes. This is the Plaid Model X in Norway, of course.
Just do it in.
So here's the Model X in the rather nice silvery grey colour. It's a standard Model X shape, look, etc. And of course it is the plaid version. As we see down here, it's got the plaid symbol on it.
Eat your heart out demo.
This is the 6-seater version. If we open the boot, we'll have a look inside and you can see that it's got the 3 rows of seats, 2, 2 and 2. And I believe it can come in a 7-seat and a 5-seat version as well. And then walking around to the side, we get to the driver's seat and it looks like Mr. Chicken is driving it. So I'll just have to ask him to move very nicely. And he says, yeah, that's all right. No worries. Now, I didn't change the seat setting or anything, so I did struggle a bit to get in and out because I wasn't too sure. Normally, I would have the seat down a lot lower, I expect. It's got the yoke steering wheel, as you can see. It did feel strange, but I'm pretty certain that it would be easy enough to get used to. And all the haptic touch buttons are there with the little screen that you can see. Uninterrupted, of course, because you don't have the full steering wheel. And there you can see we've got the 6 seats, 2, 2 and 2.
Harold, why is there a chicken there?
Notice how you got USB-C outlets just there in the cup holder, which is pretty cool for the back passengers. And they're the back. They're the 3rd row passengers.
So then if we open up the back door, once I worked out which end I had to press, it's the right-hand end. I haven't had a Model Y myself, so and the door didn't go up quite far enough, but I wasn't going to adjust anything. And
Bloody
you know
beautiful.
what? There was wasn't a huge amount of leg room once I got in, but we've got the little screen there for the back seat passengers. So there you go. Not a huge amount, but I don't know if the 5-seat version has those seats going back at all.
And there you go. I mean, to be honest, the interior, except for the video displays, the yoke and the dash, is basically identical, effectively identical.
And the USBs.
And the USBs, they're a little bit different, but pretty much everything else is identical. Nigel did show the 6-seater version, which is the only version you can get currently. They will have the 5. I'm not sure about the 7. I think that might be an option as well.
I don't think 7 comes in plaid, Harold. I think plaid it's only 6s.
You could order it. I don't know if they're delivering it, but it was definitely possible to be ordered in Australia. Yep.
Roger. Was there a chicken in there?
I don't know. It could be a Norwegian thing. I really don't know. Look, we'd have to ask Nigel. He might deny it, but that he's got his own personal chicken that he takes with him everywhere. I don't know if anyone's noticed that in any of his other videos. Incidentally, for anyone interested in his videos, just search Grumpy Old Man, and he's got a great channel with lots of videos like that.
Yeah, well done, Nige. Where is he tonight?
I think he's in transit. I don't think he's arrived back in Australia yet. He's still abroad, I believe, or he might be literally in transit.
I think he's doing another episode of Play School with a chicken. There's another thing going on, so.
Yeah, that's unlikely, but possible.
You never know.
Certainly possible. Yeah, so there you go. So that was the plaid Model X, and hopefully he's actually gotten himself into a plaid Model S. But yeah, you just can't get them in Australia yet. But your day will come, Damo. Your day will come.
In 5 years.
In 5 years, and I'll just do a quick check on the Model X to see if you can actually order it in anything other seat positions than 6. And
6, by the way, is the most expensive too.
It even is, more. And it's actually, I don't like it for reasons I'll say in a minute. So that's the standard Model X you can get in 5. And the actual 5, I don't know if you're going to show the setting positions. No, they don't really show the interiors.
Is that Australia?
No, this is the US.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to show it. But if you go to plaid, currently, or you can order, oops, currently all you can order is a 6-seat.
Oh.
And obviously you can see here that you've got the steering wheel, or this website's very slow, or the yoke, which is basically, it's the same interior inside, but the outside's different. But only six seat for the plaid at the moment. I think they might just be to simplify production. I don't know why they do that.
I think, don't quote me, but I think even in the US, Harold, in the plaids, I'm pretty sure you can only get 6 seats, but don't quote me.
Yeah, that's what this website is now. This is actually the US order page.
I was reading somewhere it's a safety thing, because the car's just that hot, like that fast, that the 7 seats or something won't be safe.
Yeah, but then what they should do is offer the 5
ago somewhere.
They should offer the 5-seat version, because with the 5-seat version, you can actually, the middle row seats are conventional folding down seats, whereas in the 6-seat version that Nigel showed, those seats are, I think they're described as captain's chairs or whatever. They're on like a mono pillar, which is super cool. It's super nice the way they all individually move, but you can't fold the backs down, which means for carrying any bit of cargo or big objects, it's just not as great. Although with the 6-seat layout, you've got the central tunnel between the middle row seats, and you can lay the third row seats flat, so that sort of is okay. But
from the safety perspective, in the 6-seat version, it wouldn't make sense that would be the only configuration for a Plaid, because you're essentially leaving out the safest seat in the car.
the center one, yes, at the very center.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might just be to do with extracting maximum value, perhaps, because, like you said, Pete, it's the most expensive option.
Yeah.
And I don't think Tesla's in any hurry to sort of offer all the options, I guess, for that premium model. But perhaps as time goes by, they will change that and offer different versions.
And they're still struggling with ramping up the SNX. You know, it was a monumental mistake to pause or stop the production of the older model.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, in other news, we obviously had the results of the Supercharger site voting results. And unsurprisingly, I think in the APAC region, which is where we are, unfortunately, and where the votes are conglomerated, the only successful locations were either Japanese or South Korean locations. And I think that the highest Australian votes was 6th or 7th or something like that, and obviously out of the winning bracket of the first few locations. And voting has resumed. Currently, I think Apollo Bay is leading the APAC tally, and I think Southern Cross is second. But the cynical part of me says that, well, clearly the population centres of Japan, which has, I can't remember, 4 or 5 times our population, and Korea has sort of more than double our population, clearly they're going to win the next voting round as well. But by all means, put your votes in. Please vote for Southern Cross, and almost everything else doesn't matter. By the way, Southern Cross is the only location for Supercharger voting.
Anywhere else doesn't matter, except for Campbelltown.
Oh, sorry. I mean, and with all due respect to you, Charles, apologies. And I don't mean to say that disrespectfully. I mean, from a WA point of view, as a WA location, once you voted for Southern Cross, the rest doesn't matter to us.
I know what you mean.
I mean, because you could always drive 3,500 Ks, Chuck, and come and say that right here live.
That's right. That's true.
But yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. But frustratingly, from a whole of Australia point of view, we are at a distinct disadvantage. I mean, what Tesla should really be doing is saying, yes, there are regions and we'll have that tally. But I reckon it'll be a nice touch that for every 3 months or every quarter that they have this voting, they say, well, whatever the top 1 or 2 or 3 Australian sites should be done. And let's face it, they are going to curate the sites anyway. Frustratingly, I don't know, you've probably seen this too, Charles. You know, you've got locations in Melbourne, in the city of Melbourne, and the city of Sydney. And I think, what was one? It was near Penrith. Was it near Penrith? No, it was something else starting with H.
There's a few like that. Yeah.
That there's already a pin coming. There's already one declared as coming, and there's another one voted for that's like 3 kilometres away or not even. And I'm thinking, well, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
You know?
I think they had Can River on the list, which is already built. It's waiting to be activated. That's in Eastern Victoria.
Yes.
It's like, so it's like, why is it even a voting option? I think there's another one. I think Jindabyne and Bateman's Bay are both on there. They've both got New South Wales government funding, so they're going to get built anyway.
Yes.
Like, you know, why are they there as well?
And in fact, what I really want to find out from Tesla is, when will superchargers be open to all EVs? Because as we know, some of the sites, actually, Chuck, have any of those New South Wales sites that have been listed in that New South Wales government funding?
Yes.
I know some are very, very imminent. Have any actually opened yet?
Yeah, the Tenterfield one and the Wollongong one both opened. And
How long ago?
About 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Wow. 2 weeks.
But they both look like normal supercharger sites. There's no, payment terminals or Chatamo connectors or any of those other things that they said they were supposed to have. So maybe they've negotiated those away because it's not practical, or maybe there's some other reason. I don't know. Maybe they don't have to add those until the 2 years is up.
Now, was Chatamo a prerequisite, or was CCS the prerequisite?
It was a prerequisite. I think all sites had to have at least one of each. So you could have a 15 stall supercharger and then have a Tritium on the end or something.
Yep.
But I think it's likely that Tesla will negotiate those requirements away because they're presumably costing half as much to install, for the same number of stalls as another site, because Tritium has that standard form factor for their stalls, and it's all internationally.
Okay, because it's interesting. Because I'm obviously keen for Tesla to open up their sites to other EVs because it'll increase utilization or capital utilization and increase Tesla's income stream.
Yeah.
And also provide other EVs with, what is currently the most reliable charging network, I guess, on Earth, probably. So it'll be very interesting. I have actually now found the supercharger voting website, and if you look at the leaderboard, if I get my slow mouse to move in the right spot, if you look at Asia Pacific, yes, I do recall, Apollo Bay. In fact, Australia's got the top three: Apollo Bay, Southern Cross, and Port Augusta.
Yep.
But if I recall correctly, Southern Cross was certainly there last quarter. I think Port Augusta was as well. Interestingly enough, Cooper Pedy, which I'm guessing, that's still Cooper Pedy. And the frustrating sites were,
these ones
in Brisbane, you don't, why have votes for the very centre of Brisbane and even Kedron? And, I think that the one in Sydney was even worse. Sorry, I'm doing this very slowly. Here we go.
No, four locations. Yeah.
Here we go. There's going to be one near Blackslife. You can't unfortunately click on this pin because it's not an active pin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of this map. But they're saying Penrith, but there already is a pin coming right there, and does that just says Sydney, but I thought it was Kirribilli. No, not Kirribilli. But anyway, basically, what's the point of voting for a location in Sydney?
Exactly.
I think Tassie, you've actually got one there, Chuck. Yeah, that's right. Campbelltown.
Yeah. So what number is that? 17. Oh, just missed out.
Yes.
We had the same sort of effort as you guys. We said vote for that one and then vote for any other four.
Yes.
But, we said to focus on the ones that aren't in cities and aren't already being built and don't already have funding, which pretty much leaves, there's only about 5 or 6 that don't fall into any of those. So Southern Cross is one of them, and Port Augusta.
Yeah, and the thing is, Southern Cross, as good as it would be, you need to have a supercharger at Merredin to basically close that sort of gap from Perth. So it is a bit strange. I don't know why Tesla are doing it really, because they really do know where the locations ought to be because they can see where the cars go.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's a big publicity / engagement thing for them, I reckon, just to get people talking about it. That's pretty much it. I don't think they're going to build, if all of Australia voted for Cooper Pedy, I don't think they'll just build one there just because we all wanted one there. Yeah. No, and they haven't indicated time. Yeah, and if they said, oh yes, we would, they would just find some excuse to blow the time out to when hell freezes over or something like that. That's like when Elon said okay to, was it you or
Jason.
was it Jason?
No, it was
Yeah,
Jason. Jason Stanley.
Yeah.
That's right.
Then said
Yes.
okay, and then 3 years later or 4 years later.
Well, 3 years later, he famously got his wish. He got the service center, he
Yeah.
got the supercharger, and something else. I forget what the other thing was. But yes, that was basically to that was following in the heels of Williams, which took Eaton off the world's most isolated supercharger list. That's hilarious. Cool. Alrighty. Now, Sarah has been really patiently waiting, and possibly
Hold on.
impatiently. Oh, go
I
on,
might-
Pete.
I might just quickly say goodbye because it's midnight here.
Oh, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
And you,
Has its disadvantages sometimes. So, yeah, gonna have
that's
to get.
cool. So I'm going to let you not actually round out the show. I'm going to let you round out your portion of this show.
Where are you, Pete?
I'm in Sydney, so I'm just staying at my brother's place in his brand new Model 3. He's got a Model Y, and he's just got himself a Model 3 as well. He's done less
Nice,
than
Pete.
1,000 kilometres, so I'm going to do a road trip to Melbourne.
Beautiful.
No,
Just enjoy the fact that when you navigate, when you just drop a pin to Melbourne, you'll just get this string of pearls appearing before you, Pete. And it's just going to
I
say
am-
spend 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there,
Not
and the
jealous.
whole trip will take you 12 hours. And it's like, how amazing is that?
I'm absolutely looking forward to not having to plan a single charging spot.
Absolutely. All right, Pete, well, you have a good night. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. But yes, go and round out your portion of the show. What would you do?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve. See
Very
you
good.
guys.
All right,
See
take
you,
care,
Pete.
Pete.
Night,
See you,
nice.
Pete.
See ya.
Okay, so Sarah has been waiting very patiently, or possibly impatiently, because we wouldn't know the difference because she's being too polite. But you're doing a little trip across Australia. I've just got to get PlugShare ready.
A big trip.
Shane did kindly send me a huge Excel spreadsheet, which
So I
in
think
the
Pete's rubbing it in there a little bit about Pete's rubbing it in about his easy charging, no planning, given that just to get to Sydney, I've got 26 charge stops scheduled.
Yes, you do. But the good news is,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. But mind you, if Pete was driving to Sydney from Perth, which he has done, actually he's done it in the reverse direction. He's got almost as much pain as you. Well, he's got the same pain as you up until Adelaide, basically. Now I'll just
Yeah.
bring up. So this is all the DC charges. Not all of these are fast DC charges, but you can see once PlugShare does update on the Eastern Seaboard, you'll be fine, because if I actually specifically remove Tesla superchargers, then the Eastern Seaboard, you'll have even from Adelaide to Sydney, you'll have no problems. That's all sorted. Obviously, the issue is getting across to Eastern South Australia. So then all we're going to do is, if we have a look at Type 2 along the route, there basically is very little except for Port Augusta. You've really got to go into three-phase, for which you're going to have a great slow DC charger on board to deal with that. So I did recall faintly that you're going through Lake Grace, I think it is.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think, I don't recall all the locations. I have got the spreadsheet somewhere. Let me just go off screen just in case I show the wrong thing. But look, basically the good news is from Perth to Adelaide, they're mostly just three-phase outlets. So they are universal.
I'm heading
So they'll
through
be
Port Augusta and then into the Clare Valley rather than down into Adelaide. So it's a bit bumpy, to be honest, from Port Augusta through to about Gundagai, because I'm going through that middle section of the Clare Valley rather than going down to Adelaide along the bottom and up, if that makes sense.
okay. So you're not going to Adelaide at all? So you mentioned Gundagai.
Yeah, so at the moment, plan is Port Augusta and then some destinations in the Clare Valley.
Yep.
And then through to Gundagai, Jugyeong, I don't know how you say that, Jugyeong, and then Yass, and then yeah, that one. And then Yass, and through that way. That's the current plan, but certainly open to ideas and suggestions if you've got any others.
Okay, so Shane, you're still on because you've sent me a redacted PDF, so that means it's okay to flick up on the telly?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so that's this list here. So you've got Wage and Lake Grace. Lake Grace is a fast DC charge. That's no problems. Ravensthorpe is a slow DC charger. Esperance. Let me just check. Plug share. Esperance, I think, is just a Type 2. I mean, you'll be overnighting in places too, of it, no doubt. See, Esperance, there is a 3-phase, but from memory, it doesn't work very well, which is at the the showgrounds restricted one. Horizon.
There's one
There
over
was
in the industrial estate. Over to near Chadwick there, left, that one.
That's a Type 2. That's Type 2. So
okay, sorry.
That's a Type 2. So that's only 7 kilowatts for the Atto. Unless I can pull my finger out and fix that.
Right.
So in Esperance, it might just be the Horizon Power 22 kilowatt, which for single phase Atto is 7 kilowatts. So I don't know what speed that's going to get you there. But I mean, if you're overnighting, then it doesn't matter.
I think we had the one at the Comfort Inn, which I'm not sure. I haven't got my publisher open, but
yep, the Comfort Inn. That's one. A Tesla. That's a Tesla outlet.
It's a.
Yeah, it works on Kona's, so it'll work on the Atto as well. Yeah, so in fact, you'll probably see from the comments on PlugShare that of course there's view more. Of course, there's a whole preponderance. Model X, Kona Electric, there you go. So a Kona, and that's on 7 kilowatts because they've got single phase charging as well. So on the 22nd of July, they got successfully charged. So that's cool. Yeah. So then, once you're out of Esperance, sorry, let me just bring up this. Then you've got.
I've got the Norseman one, which obviously has been a bit of a tricky one over the weekend, over the last couple, since we did the plan actually. Apparently out since Tuesday, which is a bit of a pain. But
yeah, so talk to Rob Dean because I think he says there's a. Oh no, I think he actually said there's another socket near the rec centre.
Yeah,
which is right there.
Rob said there's a secret. Rob said a secret squirrel one that he put us onto.
Yeah, good. Okay, so it's not but it's nearby though, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Oh yes, it's quite nearby. Yeah, he said where it was.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so Norseman's fine, and then you've got Belladonna. Belladonna is fine. That's a Delta slow DC charger, 22 kilowatts or 20 odd kilowatts. Kaiguna, I think Kaiguna's issues are now sorted. I think, although they are only 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. But I think John's had a chat.
I spoke to John about that. Apparently all the issues around getting it started and so forth are all now gone. And the whole $100 startup and then plus this and plus that's all gone. It's now a $50 flat fee and there's multiple people that know how to operate it.
Right. Fantastic. So that's Kaiguna. you don't really have to worry about cockle biddy, but you can charge it. That's just a standard 32 amp 3-phase outlet. You've got Madura Pass. This again, this is time limited. They only operate from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. sharp. This is a slow DC charger. It's a Delta DC charger. You can see a what's it called? Polestar charging, and you can see the actual unit just there plugged into an outlet.
Put me pulling in at 7 o'clock.
Yes, so you'd have to do it. Yeah, exactly. So that works. Then you've got Mundrabilla. That one's easy. That's just a 3-phase outlet in one of the blocks. The pin drop is accurate because I've set it, but you can actually see, for example, you just plug it straight in into the 32 amp outlet. So, and when I say accurate, if you zoom right in and look at the satellite photo, it's you sort of drive in along here, around the back, drive just right there, and it's against that wall. So I've always, whenever I've gone to a place, I always make sure the pin drop's accurate, because there's nothing more stressful than not knowing where something is.
Can I jump in for a second quickly, Harold?
Yes.
I'm just about to log off, but I also thought I'd mention that soon as Sarah is driving an Atto, the Ludicrous Feed channel recently did a drive from Sydney to Melbourne in an Atto 3.
Yeah.
So they've
Yeah,
got
thank
all
you.
the charges. Yep.
Yeah, and one of the things he mentioned was that he was using some of the NRMA charges and that they didn't have an app. So we were just querying if anyone's used those charges. Is it just a simple plug in and go at the moment? They're not charging, so you don't need an app or a card or anything?
No, there's no app, I don't think. You might need to press start on the charger itself. There'll be a little start button.
But they're not actually charging at the moment. They're not, it's not paid for charge. No, okay.
Yep, that's it.
Great, thank you.
No worries. And
Fantastic. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it and staying up so late. That's awesome. And hope to see you back any time at all. It's awesome having you from all over ahead of the curve with Pete.
I'll try and visit, but I promise I'll visit more often when daylight savings finish, because it's only 2 hours later then. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. All right, excellent. You have an awesome day. Enjoy Thursday. You're already in it, and
amazing.
We'll see you again sometime soon.
Yep, no worries.
Take care, Chuck. Thanks, sir.
See you, Chuck.
See ya.
Okay, so UCLA, forget that for the time being, and you've got Border Village. Again, Border Village, if you just look at the pin closely, you'll have to go and see reception anyway, because it's actually behind the gate. So I think you can drive to the right as you're facing it, or you can drive around this way. But it's basically it's in a shed. So when you look at the photos, it's the actual power point is in the back of this shed. So you do need an extension cable, which
How long
will
would
reach.
you recommend would be the best one to travel with?
The one that I lend you. So
That's a great answer.
It's about, I don't know how long it is. I think it's nearly 10 meters. It's longer than you need, but it's always good to have that flexibility, especially if a car's parked in the wrong place or something, and it can just get you what you need to do a little bit easier. So that's Border Village, and then you've obviously got, I think, Nullarbor Roadhouse, which will be this one. That one's easy. It's just around the side, and you've got super easy access. And if we go back a little bit, there's quite a few photos. That's Pete actually, and I think he must have overnighted there. And then I think that's me plugged in, and I've got the charger that's why you can see my door is sort of ajar, because the charger's in the back row, and that just plugged straight in with no extension cord. Cool. So that's nice and easy. Then after that, you've got Penong,
Mhm.
and Penong is again easy because it's just a 32 amp outlet, so that's
Mhm.
nice and easy.
Oh yeah.
Now, and then you've got Sejuna. Oh, now Sejuna could be. Oh, I think Sejuna's got a Tesla destination charger at the East West Motel. And I believe this, yes, so this also runs Kona's. So it'll run your car as well, but it'll be at 7 kilowatts for
Sure.
Sejuna. But if you're overnighting at the East West Motel,
Yeah.
then that's not an issue.
Yeah.
And then out of that, you've then got, I'll just
Wouldn't
suppress Tesla again just for the moment. You've got Puchera, and Puchera is
Yeah.
they're really good. They're well, it's like a hotel, but it's actually a post office agency as well.
So I had Woodina down. I don't know why we didn't do Puchera at the outset, but do you reckon Butcher would be a better option than Woodina?
So I don't even know what that other name was you just said. Which one was that?
Woodina. Yeah, the next one long, I think.
Don't know.
Further
No,
south.
that's Kimber.
I think we just missed it. Back at Woodina, there's a I think a 10 amp power point or something. It's not much.
Oh,
So you reckon
right, gotcha.
Puchera
I think
would be
we
a
just-
better option?
yeah, Puchera or Puchera. I think the locals call it Puchera. That's the go. The trick there is actually a circuit breaker in here, and it's often turned off. So if you get there early, don't feel ashamed to turn it on, because when they turn up later, you can then pay them. Now this is where you'll need your extension cord. So, but you don't need much of it, just a little bit. And again, there's an image, I think. Yeah, that's me there. And again, I've got the door open and the extension cord. You can actually, you can sort of see the cord there. So that's easy to use. They're super friendly. After that, you've got Kimber. Kimber is strictly office hours because it's a tire repair place, and it's actually in their compound. So again, that's strictly Monday to Friday, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. Middle of the day.
So middle of the day,
That's
and
the
then
plan.
you're getting
Middle of
pretty
the day.
close. Then you've got Port Augusta,
Yeah.
and this is Tesla. It looks like that's working as well, which is good. Looks like that's a iPace on a Tesla destination charger. So again, you can charge there. It won't be fast. It'll only be 7 kilowatts,
Hang on.
but
Actually,
you
on
can
that one,
charge.
no.
I'm just catching you up. Hang on a minute. Just
Yeah, sorry.
Port
So
Augusta.
at Port Augusta, Rob also had a secret squirrel 3-phase point that he mentioned.
Oh, okay, cool. No worries. Well, so everything I'm saying is notwithstanding any other secret squirrel stuff that you might have, which
Oh.
is just as good, if not better. And then, okay, so if you're going to like Clare and Jamestown, be careful. There's a big height. Oh, actually, you've got on your spreadsheet, you've got an awesome, Shane, you've just done too much. I don't know how you did this. This would have taken a while, but you've got height differences. There we go.
Yeah, I fit a quadratic to it with height as a linear factor in a way. It's reasonably accurate.
It is, because from Port Augusta to Clare, you do gain about 300 or 400, or nearly 400 meters. And what that means is you'll be getting a fair bit less range than you think. So it's certainly handy to make sure you're quite well charged at Port Augusta before going to Clare, because Clare is uphill substantially. Whereas if you went to Adelaide directly, you could skirt around the hills basically, and there'd be no influence on altitude.
Yeah.
Berry, Rob Neville, Hayne. I don't even know where these are. So you might have to help me out there.
Addo 3 to cross the Nullarbor? Does anyone know?
I think it's the first one.
I think I'm the first one, hopefully. That's the goal anyway.
I think it's the first. Okay, and then the other locations I'm not that familiar with, to be honest. But look, if you just plot it out and you've looked on PlugShare, it'll be fine. And you're going to start hitting up against the NRMA fast DC chargers, and they're just awesome. And you don't need an app; they're free for the time being. And if ever they were to charge money, they would open an app up. So don't worry about that. But,
Okay,
but like
great.
Chuck said, you do have to usually press start. In fact, you still have to do that on quite a few chargers that where you do use an app. Well, it just depends.
Yeah.
But and once effectively once you're into New South Wales, it's just a land of milk and honey. It really is.
Should get a lot easier from there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
The roads are terrible.
say it again.
Yes.
The roads are very bad.
Yeah, the condition of the roads because of the flooding.
Flooding,
A lot of the road surface is degraded, and you've got potholes and all sorts of stuff that are continually being patched up. And but thankfully, I don't think there hasn't been much rain lately. So hopefully, any faults that there were have been plugged with patches. But for example, George has got a Performance Model 3 basically wrecked multiple tires and virtually all 4 rims on his Performance Model 3 just getting to Melbourne. But this was a few months ago, or a couple of months ago. Just after the floods, yeah. So the roads were still precarious as far as condition, but it's undoubtedly improved since then.
That was one of the things I had to pick people's brains. The Addo 3 only comes with the puncture kit and the compressor, and it was a case of tossing up whether I fork out for a spare wheel or not, essentially. And I guess that,
it's up to
When
you.
I hear things like that, it's probably with policy, but.
Look, you can get those puncture repair kits where you can get different ones. You can get the juice that you push into the tire. That's not well. It is. It's okay for something like a tech screw. You can actually get those tire repair kits where you have like a little T-shaped auger bit that sort of like reams out the hole. You actually need, if you're going to use that, you need to get a pair of pliers as an extra bit, because that doesn't come with the kit. So you can pull out the tech screw or whatever it is, because you can't do it with your bare fingers or anything like that. So a pair of pliers would be handy. You can usually do it without taking the tire off. You can just do it with the car. You just roll the car so that you can see the tech screw, which is the most likely thing. You then have this T-shaped thing that you sort of like pierce the hole and you ream out to make the hole a bit bigger. And then you've got like a crochet needle sort of thing where you basically, you put the, you feed this unvulcanized rubber slug. It's like a noodle, and you sort of fold it up, thread it through the eye of this crochet needle, and then you force that into the tire, and then you sort of like, the trick is to pull the needle out quickly, because the needle's actually got like a little split at the end of it. And I've done it a few times where I've pulled it out and I've taken the whole thing with me, so I've had to do it again. But anyway, it's a bit of an art to it. You pull it out quickly, the slug stays in. There's a little knife that you get with the kit, and you just trim it off to tread level and then drive off. And these really are emergency temporary repairs. However, a Model X that I used to own has driven probably more than 50,000 kilometers on one of those repairs. So, that repair will have lasted the life of the tire. So, it's a very functional thing you can do. And obviously, if it's a little bit hard to do, you can also get someone, that might stop or something to give you a hand as well. And I guess you've also got the RAC or NRMA or whoever. If you're in trouble, you can always just join them. I think most of those clubs actually allow you to join them. When you book join and use basically. if the worst comes to worst. But look, Pete and I and Rob Dean and many others have driven around Australia and dutifully taken our spare tyres all the way around and never used them.
Not touched it. Yeah.
Not touched it. Yeah. So it's a bit of a frustration. I would have recommended that you actually try and do the whole round Australia trip, but you can't do that now because the Fitzroy River crossing bridge is gone.
Yeah.
So it's
And my
literally
time frame's a
impossible.
bit squeezy.
Yes.
Sadly
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like I said, yeah, once you get into New South Wales, it's just easy. It really is after that. And then the return journey is just rinse and repeat. You would have already been to all the places, and you know, and just be flexible with how you go. You just one tip is well, actually, if you're using the DC charger, you can really just do the speed limit because you'll be able to replenish while you're doing the DC chargers, the small DC charger that you're going to borrow. Unless you need to sort of stretch for range, you can just do the speed limit because you can charge the car faster than you can use the energy that you replenish. But if you're on the AC charging only, so you're 7 kilowatts, then you might think about, if you have like, a couple of those in a row, you might then think about doing, say, 90 Ks an hour because you'll get better efficiency and you won't burn through as much charge.
Yeah, got a few sections around the Port Augusta where the towns are few and far between that dropped it to 90 and it seems to be planning out okay at least.
Yes, yeah. And look, and you can always, and if things get a bit tight, just go a bit slower. So roughly for every 10% that you reduce your speed, you increase your range by about 14%. And it's compounding. So 20% and you'll have the best part of, I don't know my maths, 25% better range.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And the main thing is just be flexible and just enjoy the trip. Obviously, I don't know what the Atto has as far as streaming radio or anything like that, or digital radio, but there won't be any in the middle of nowhere.
No, got lots downloaded, lots of Bluetoothable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of
you don't happen to have a Starlink? You don't happen to have a Starlink dish that you could? That's a shame because you could. Has Yatto got a glass roof?
Yeah.
You could just strap it to the roof or underneath the roof and have broadband internet the whole way.
That would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it? Yep, no
would.
dish. No dish in my world. I'm crossing my fingers for Telstra most of the way, so.
Oh, look, once you get to South Australia, it's not too bad. Across the Nullarbor, it's
hit and miss.
No, there's big patches.
Yeah.
And even going to even to Lake Grace in the wheat belt, they're big patches.
Yeah.
So Bluetooth it is.
Yeah.
Oh, have you got any other questions
Did you use
about
the
it?
CB?
Yeah, oh, yes. So I did get a
Did
cheap.
you travel with the CB?
Yes, I did. I'm just trying to see if I've got it handy. I only got a small. Oh yeah, there it is. I just got a small Unidan. Whoops, just a cheapo Unidan, and I just did that for truckies if I wanted to tuck behind a truck mainly to say, oh look, is it okay if I just tuck behind and draft from a safe distance?
Positive response for that kind of thing?
Yes, but definitely positive if you ask. If you don't ask, because the road trains are quite long, I think they think you're really, very close to them when you're not, and then they can get a bit shitty. So, but if you ask, then they'll definitely say yes and be accommodating because they know you're going to follow from a safe distance anyway.
Yeah.
But that can also help. Yeah, exactly, and that can help dramatically with range because you're going slower.
Yeah.
And you're also getting some of the drafting benefit.
Well. Yeah. We've got this style Shane's holding up now. We've got the style of CB. It should be sufficient, I think. Yeah,
that's totally. That's totally. That's totally cool. That's a flash one. Yep, that'll work.
Neighbours.
And it's obviously just channel 40. They're all on channel 40.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
All right.
I'd obviously make sure you bring the 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter for it. Or should I say, I mean, some of these are, I mean, mine's just battery powered, but I just brought the charger with me and just plugged it into the 12-volt outlet.
Yeah.
But they seem to last a long time.
Yeah, should be fine, I think, hopefully.
Absolutely.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks for
Well,
going
good luck
through
with
those.
it.
thanks.
And like I said, if you got any other if you got any questions at all, just give me a ring. Shane's obviously got my number, and ring me anytime.
We'll
Doesn't matter.
Catch up sometime this week at some point.
Oh yes, and we
whenever-
will anyway. Yes, yeah. Well, we'll
Yeah,
do that
lovely.
before Friday. In fact, we'll probably do it tomorrow.
Friday
Just
or
do
whatever
it, just so you can do a few tests. Shane,
Yeah.
have you got a 3-phase outlet at home?
I do indeed, so we can try it here.
32 amp 3. Cool, awesome. Because there's just a couple of tests. Do you know what the voltage is of the Atto? No. Okay, that's all right. As long as it's not something high like 450 volts, which I doubt, then it'll be very easy to use. But it should be good.
Okay. I'll
tell you
Google it up too.
in a minute. Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, in fact, the charger will tell you when you test it. It actually says the voltage. So as long as it's not more than 400 volts, then there'll be nothing that needs to be adjusted. If it is higher than that, then I'll have to fiddle with. Well, I'll get you to fiddle with it. But I won't bombard you with that detail unless you need to do it, because it's just a pain. But that's cool. But the main thing is just to have fun, because it's a great thing to do.
It says on their main website, architecture battery 400 volt. So hopefully they're correct.
That's cool.
Or 403.
Yeah.
Nominal voltage 403. Is that about right?
Yeah, it should be right. Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine.
Excellent.
Cool. All right.
Thanks.
So has anyone else got any other questions or comments or anything?
Harold, I do.
Yes, Mark.
I still have my Model 3 on order. It's still showing 9 to 12 months. That was ordered June the 9th. So I've actually got 2 trips planned to go to Adelaide, one in October, which obviously is going to be fine, and the other one last week of April through to end of May, probably. So I don't know if that first one.
So you ordered in June, and
June 9th.
So when you log into your Tesla account, it still says February to.
No, it says 9 to 12 months still. It's a black on black performance.
Model 3.
Ordered the day before the wire was opened up to Australia.
It still says 9 to 12 months, and you've
Yes.
logged in. So this is not just on Tesla's website. This is on your Tesla account.
Yes.
That's strange.
When I went to Osborne Park, they said to me, "Oh yeah, you should be fine to get it before May." But I'm starting to wonder because I haven't seen any change at all for months and months. I know it says 9 to 12 months, and we've only just gone over 6 or 7 months now. 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah, and your first trip was in April, you were saying.
Yeah, last week of April, I'm planning to go take four or so days to get across to Adelaide, I think.
Yes. Yep.
And then the return trip, obviously. But I'm just wondering if that's going to happen or not. But my question was actually about you're saying the three phase power outlets across the Nullarbor, 32 amps. Is that 5 or 7 pin plugs, or it doesn't really matter? I'm a bit confused around how that works.
Yeah, so it's got to be 5 pins, which is the 3 phases of active, neutral, and earth. I mean, earth goes without saying, but it must have neutral, and all of the sockets that are on PlugShare. So basically, all of these green pins where they are 32 amp 3-phase outlets, they are all 5-pin, which means they've got the neutral. So they are all okay. So they've all been tested.
Right. And they just plug into the UMC that apparently will
No,
cover
so
the-
no, so the UMC only comes with a 10 and 15 amp Clipsal, I think it's called a 3113
Okay.
outlet. So that's only 10 and 15 amp single phase. So if you want to go using AC, you need to have a 32 amp, well, you need to have a portable EVSE. And
Right.
one, for example, that as a club member you can borrow is the Cons portable EVSE, and that can provide 32 amps 3-phase, although your car can only draw 16 amps 3-phase, so 11 kilowatts.
Okay.
And that will charge a Model 3 at about 85 kilometers of range added per hour.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Now, as far as your April timeframe, the main point is, geez, I'd be a bit pessimistic because Tesla generally try and get most of their deliveries completed by the end of a quarter, although they have stated they're trying to unwind that sort of activity. American companies live and die by quarterly results, end of quarter results, and it obviously means that they want to have every car they could possibly make sold by the end of that quarter, because if they don't, then all that cost to make that car doesn't add to that balance sheet and gets pushed to the next quarter, which they don't want to see because analysts want quarterly results. But Tesla have said that they are unwinding that, and some of the way they do deliveries does show it's changing. But I'd be pessimistic with the April one, because for you to have the car by April, it would really be delivered by March, because if it's not delivered by April, it's probably more likely to be delivered by May or June. So, and if
So
you're
if it's delivered by March, how long before?
and for it to be delivered by March, I would have thought you'd have a time frame that's much more accurate. That would have so for instance, I ordered a Performance Model Y, and for quite a while it said, 6 to something months, whatever, I forget what it was now, 6 to 9 months or something. And then a few months ago, it actually changed to saying, I think it had December to February, or December to March or April or something like that. And then about a month or two ago, it actually changed to January to March. And that's when you log into your Tesla account and go manage your car, which in your case is a order or a reservation. Well, it's an order or a reservation, and it will have, if you're going to get a delivery anytime soonish, it will have a more distinct month time frame. So for yours to still say 6 to 9 months, I don't think you're getting it before April, to be honest, unless something changes dramatically in the next few weeks.
Okay.
But your other time frame was what? So that was October. You'll be home and hosed. Yeah, you'll well and truly be home and hosed by then. So I'd say your first trip is in peril.
Okay. Is it possible that I haven't got the right app downloaded or something like that? Or I've done...
No. So when you ordered the car, they would have asked you for your email address. Actually, do this now. So just go into tesla.com. So I'll just show you. Tesla.com, and then if you go into account, and I just realized that mine was going to already load up, but you click onto the account tab.
Yep.
I'll just go back. So, which is this account, this tab just here to the upper right, account. Click on that. Select login, and you got to log in with your email address and the password that you chose when you got your Tesla account. And then you'll see your car reservation come up.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've been here before because it's coming up. I'm doing it on my phone, and it's coming up with my email address, and so the dashboard that shows my car says you can also purchase another one down below.
So, for example, I'll just suppress this. So on mine, this is my reservation for the Model Y, and just underneath that, there's manage. So if you go manage,
yep.
I'll click manage, and on mine, once the website updates, it will then show a delivery time span. Okay, so I've just got to do a little bit of window rearranging. Sorry, this is very boring TV, but it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, so you'll see something like this, which is next steps, completed tasks, estimated delivery January to March 2023.
Yeah, I'm doing
Now,
the same. Still saying 9 to 12 months.
Yeah,
from
okay.
order place date.
Yep. Okay. So in that case, I'm confident that April would not be on the cards. But what could happen, and look, you can approach the sales team. So you said it was you did say it's a black on black performance.
Yes,
Model
and
3.
They said there was a black one with white seats came in the other day, and they actually called me about that, but it didn't quite suit the time frame exactly, and I'm a bit averse to the white seats. I'm maybe starting to kick myself that I didn't say yes after all.
Yeah, right. There is actually, sorry, I'm just going to bring up the Australian website. So on the Australian website, if you go for a new Model 3, it's still there. There's a performance Model 3, and it looks like it's got a white interior. So yeah, it looks white. It looks all white. So yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's another option.
But solid black, I can only see it's got white seats because you can see on the image. Oh no, black and white, there you go. Black and white premium interior.
Yep.
So that means it's got the white seats. So that's available now. So look, it's entirely up to you. It's a big purchase. So if you really had your heart set on black seats, then just wait. Although, I mean, that's easy for me to say because I'm already driving a Tesla, but I am also waiting for other cars. And I think I've learnt that it is still worth the wait to get what you want rather than compromise and then not really being that happy. Like you'll be happy, you know, in a week's time or 2 weeks when you get the car much sooner than expected, but then you've got to live with it for the next 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years that you have the car. And if you're going to live with it that long, you might as well get exactly what you want. Unless you've learnt and thought, oh, well, actually, the white seats aren't as scary as I thought, because people presume they're hard to maintain.
Yeah.
But you actually just use, baby wipes or Windex. Don't forget the black seats are made of the same material as the white seats. They're not leather anymore. They're, you know, modified plastic, basically, or whatever. And the white seats, just look at some YouTube videos of people with white seats and see what they've done to them. Bjorn Nyland has had a lot of experience with white seats. He wears jeans. You get a little bit of that blue mark, and then you just rub it off with baby wipes or Windex or whatever.
Sure. Okay.
But the good thing, just sleep on it. Don't make a rash decision, which you're going to have to live with for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. Your car will come, just like Damo's, Plaid Model S that he lusts over, and I'm waiting for a Model X that I've been waiting 2 years for, and I'll be waiting at least another year plus for, and I've been waiting for a Cybertruck for 3 years, and I'll probably be waiting another 3 years. So, it's a waiting game.
Yep. Oh, appreciate that, Harold. Thank you.
No worries, Mark. Pleasure. All right. Has anyone else got any questions or comments? Oh, no.
Is there any reason why you want to go black, Mark, with your Model 3 Performance?
Well, I'm an Uber driver, and I do lots of trips, and I'm just wondering whether the white seats would actually hold up under that amount of use.
No, like the exterior. Any reason why you've chosen black?
I just like black. It's different.
Yeah, me too, man. But I'll tell you one thing. With the black Tesla, it's hard to keep it clean, man. You'll be washing it once or twice a week. No joke, hey. I had a black car before this, and like I sort of knew what I was getting into, but I don't know. It's weird. It's like this car seems to attract the dirt. They're really, really hard to keep clean, man. As I said, you'll be washing it once or twice a week if you want to keep it clean. I just thought I'd let you know that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm sort of I'm prepared for that.
They look awesome, but within a matter of hours after washing it, they're all covered in crap again. No, it's no joke, hey. Like I've never seen anything like it.
One thing you can do though, Mark, with like for instance, if you're concerned about the seats, obviously that's presumably mostly going to be the back seats. Pete Petrosky has actually got a set of white seat covers for his car because he's got a white on white. Well, he's got a white on white model. Well, he's got a Model 3 and a Model Y, but he's actually got seat covers for it, and they actually look just like the original seats. It actually looks surprisingly good. So that's another alternative, is you can just put a seat cover on for your passengers.
Yeah. I've thought about all those variations, and was going to make a final decision on that when I finally got the car and
exactly.
have a closer look.
Yep. Well, you've got the info in front of you. The other thing too is performance cars do come in and orders do get cancelled, or sometimes the finance becomes frustrated, so the order lapses. So if you're keeping fairly close contact with the sales team, they can advise you if and when a car with your spec becomes available, and then you can just make a decision then.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that.
Cool. Alrighty. Oh, actually, I have got a couple of things I have not mentioned yet. Oh, yes. So since we've been talking about different brands of cars, namely the BYD Atto, I thought I saw an interesting, well, I didn't think I saw, I know I saw an interesting video come up featuring, I think it was a Hyundai Ioniq that was being used as a test bed for a pretty interesting feature. And it goes something a little bit like this. Yeah, so that's pretty wild. Effectively having the wheels turned to 90 degrees. I mean, I don't know how they do that with CVs and all that stuff, but I don't think Tesla's going to do that anytime soon. But it would be wild if they did.
I don't know. I reckon our Cybertruck might be able to do that.
Stop saying the C word, Shane. Otherwise, you'll get me flicking up Cybertruck videos all night, which I don't mind doing at all. And
Actually,
since you mentioned it, we'll just look at this video. How about we just watch this, for the next half an hour and just drool over it for a bit.
Actually, earlier on you were mentioning maybe let's call it the Model 2 or whatever we're going to call it. I don't know if you noticed that Tesla Tom had he spied the BYD Dolphin on that Sydney to Melbourne trip that he did in testing in Australia. The Dolphin being what I don't know what they'll call it here, but the smaller hatchbacky sort of the equivalent, the competitor to the Model 2 or the proposed Model 2. So
yes, yep. Yeah, right. So, interesting.
I reckon that sort of price point car, that sort of size car, might make a pretty big dent in the market, or pretty big impact in the market.
Yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me if Tesla wanted to get ahead of that and make sure that they got something out sooner. So maybe that is what that GigaPress thing's for.
It's going to be really interesting. I don't think Jason Yang and Woo-Wah do as many videos as the guys in Texas. I don't think they're really daily videos. So it's something that could get missed. But then hopefully there's enough of a network there that one of those guys might get tipped off that there is an IDRA shipment, and they might snap some photos of it. But yeah, it's going to be super interesting. I think IDRA said it takes 2 weeks to dismantle and about a month to transit. So, we might know in 6 weeks or a couple of months, maybe where it went, or at least if it went to Tesla. And then we can run the rumor mill and see what the hell they're doing with it. Part of me wants it just to be Cybertruck, but but then maybe not, because maybe if they make the Cybertruck in China, maybe it's a slightly smaller version, so it's compliant with European roads or that sort of theory as well. And maybe we don't really want a sub F-150 Cybertruck sized Cybertruck. Actually, that's wrong. I'll just take any Cybertruck they make, really. I don't care.
Yeah, I think so. Me too.
That's it.
I think would be good.
But yeah, good point. That's a good scoop with the other BYD. So it's great that BYD, are bringing product into Australia. How long did it take to get that car, Shane? Like from order? Like, was it a long process or sort of easy to do?
Sarah, it wasn't that long. That they had an issue with delivery because they had a compliance issue with one of the baby seat thingers was covered up. I think they fixed it with a Stanley knife and a sticker.
Really? Well, that's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, it might be
that's the ISOFIX.
Close.
Yeah, that would be the ISOFIX, I think.
It was, yeah. The one in the centre didn't have a hole to access it properly. So, how long was it, Sarah?
I think it was end of July. I was just looking up on my email. End of July ordered, picked up week before Christmas.
Oh, so
yeah, end of July.
5 months. 5 months.
5 months, yeah. Yeah.
Was it? Were there many around when you ordered, or was that?
No,
or did you get this first ship?
Oh. Yeah, no, I hadn't started delivering. I wasn't in the first shipment. I think I was in the second.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's hard to tell because of the compliance issue. There was a pause for 3 weeks. So whether they got an extra shipment in that time and then fix them up, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah.
But I
Cool.
think they've delivered 120 so far, and they're expecting another shipment at the end of the month. So,
Oh, good. Yeah, it'll be good to see them around.
few more on the road.
Absolutely. Is it a station wagon, or what sort of? How do you
It's classed
describe
as
it?
a small SUV, I think.
Yep.
It's nice
Yep.
to drive.
So 5 seats with
Yeah.
a hatchback, sort
Yeah.
of on the. Yeah. Cool. What's its nominated range? Like, what do they say the range is?
Same, about the same as the Model 3. We're getting
so
about the same.
The standard
450.
range. It's almost identical to my car.
Yeah, 420 is their advertised, 380 real world, give or take.
Yeah, cool. That's good. That's
Yeah, it is.
excellent. It's just a shame they've only got single phase charging, but
Yeah, it is. a pain.
frustratingly, a lot of cars are doing that, and it's really frustrating.
I think it comes down to their price point. Look, if you compare
Yeah.
like for like with what it's got compared to what it cost, you know, they've got to make compromises somewhere. And I think that they've done that reasonably well for a metro area car. There's not that many people that want to traverse the country in it. So
Yeah, exactly.
once we get some better charging points across the country, it'll be a no-brainer anyway. So give it 18 months.
Yes, and that's right, because by the end of this year, you'll be able to go from Perth to Kununurra. You can't go to Kununurra. Anyway, that's you probably would. No, you will be. You will be able to in the next 12 months, because they would have fixed the Fitz. No, they wouldn't have. They'll probably have a temporary.
18 months. Yeah.
Yeah, but they'll have a temporary bridge, or at least a they'll build something that's temporary that can be used in the next 6 months, probably, unless it's super wet, and then you won't be able to use it. So in summer you might not be able to use it, but nonetheless you can go from Perth to Kununurra, Perth to Esperance and Kalgoorlie, and then the Nullarbor, it might still be the status quo. But the Nullarbor is not bad, because you've got 20 kilowatt charging at Baladonia and Majura Pass, and 50 kilowatt charging at Kaiguna.
The state government one will have a whole heap of DC in 18 months across the Nullarbor too, won't they? And I think South Australia is predicting end of 24.
Pete got a communication from a department secretary or something of the WA government, one of the departments, and they told him that the Nullarbor part, so those extra 4 charges, Baladonia, Kaiguna, Majura Pass and Eucla, that would be completed by the end of 2024, whereas the rest of the project would be completed by the beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
So the Nullarbor bit might still be not quite finished in 18 months, maybe.
Yeah. The other nice thing about all these other EVs coming into the market, I mean, I think I saw something that was, I think it was 18 months, 2 years ago when I bought my car, it was like 0.4% of all cars sold in Australia were EVs, and now it's like 4.5 or something. The nice thing with all these other cars coming in at the cheaper price point, the pressure on the government to install some decent infrastructure is just going to grow exponentially, and that helps everybody. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think it was 3.1% to be precise, but that's still much greater than 2021. And, this year it's going to be well above 5%, well above 5%. Yeah. And they consider that to be the tipping point where people start, the avalanche is already happening. It's just that we're only seeing the start of it. And there will be an avalanche.
Well, I've already got 3 or 4 super interested people at work, and they just, when they learn that I'm quite happy to let them go for a spin, they go for a spin, and about 5 seconds later they go, "Oh, I'm going to order one."
Yeah, well, the other thing too is, if you mention workplaces, is of course, for any car that's less than $80,000 and a bit, a bit over $80,000, for a business, if they do a novated lease or anything like that, the benefits are huge, because
I think it's 84,916. I think sticks in my mind.
The LCT threshold for yes, yep. Awesome, thanks, Richard. Yeah, so for any car that's less than that price, and I mean, look, that's for all intents and purposes, the vast majority of them, except for a performance Model Y and maybe a performance Model 3, but any standard sort of EV, even the long range Model 3, I think might just sneak under. As you probably would actually. They are exempt. Firstly, exempt from fringe benefits tax, which means if a company provides it as a fringe benefit, there is zero tax on the private portion of the usage, even if that's 100% private. The other thing too that businesses can do is get a 100% instant tax write-off on the value of the whole car, which makes a big difference in that first tax year.
Yeah.
Sorry?
That's the change. That's the changes that came in recently, aren't they?
And they were passed through Parliament. I don't know if they've been gazetted yet, but that's just a technicality. Things can get gazetted between hours and maybe a month or so, but it has been backdated to the 1st of July 2022. So anyone that has yes, and late for me too. But anyone looking at buying a car, if it's through a business, you get the 100% tax write-off. Now, what it obviously means is your book value of that car goes to zero. You get the big tax deduction against income if you've made a profit. Obviously, when you go to sell a car, whatever you sell it for does become profit because your book value is zero. But the point is you got the tax benefit of that book value in the year you bought the car and not depreciating it over 5 years or whatever. And the fringe benefits aspect is again huge, because if you've got a company car that's, say, I think it was a Mazda something, it was a Mazda 3 or something for $40,000, a Model 3 at $70,000 is cheaper on a novated lease than like a Mazda 3. So if you've got a company car anyway, then it's a no-brainer to change it out or to get the next one being a Tesla or any other EV for that matter. Yeah.
And that helps everyone, because the number of people now that I know that drive EVs, that I was talking to a guy on the last Sunday. He's one of those chappies that you would think, he's never going to get behind the wheel of an EV. His wife bought one, and they've recently been forced to be driving their ICE cars around for other reasons. And he was really, really quite sad about the whole driving the ICE car thing. He was like, I want my EV back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, look, you've got Damo, who was a dyed-in-the-wool petrol head. I mean, his aftershave was probably, Shell Ultra or whatever, and his hand lotion was probably, axle grease or something. WD-40. Yeah, exactly.
Might have been a bit of red dust under his fingernails as well.
Exactly. But, he loves his EV because there's just nothing better, So people change. And the thing is, these cars aren't glorified golf buggies. They're just not, and they don't have the looks of a Nissan Leaf. You don't have to be some weirdo dyed-in-the-wool granny that's so militantly green that you are prepared to drive what is, by all accounts, a butt ugly car. You can just drive something that looks just like every other car, if not better, and performs vastly better. Yeah. But we just need the charging infrastructure. Build it and they'll come. But
right.
Anyway,
that's all right. But Arena insist on paying Ampol to put them in, Belmont. Because we need a fast charger in Belmont. You need 150 kilowatts in Belmont, don't you?
Yes, and you're going to get it. You're going to get it in Karrinyup. You're going to get it in Yanchep. There are 38 locations in Greater Perth between Yanchep and Mandurah that
Yanchep,
mostly
I can
Ampol.
almost buy Yanchep. I can almost buy Yanchep, and one at You'll-Do at the top of the hill in Armidale. I could buy that. That'd be useful, but not Belmont.
Although I must admit, look, if you don't have off-street parking, you're in a block of flats that doesn't have charging, it can be useful. I mean, one thing, actually, it's funny, you think that Europe's really progressive, and in fact, they probably are progressive because they've gone past, in Europe, they've gone past the notion of free EV charging. So that's almost all gone away. Whereas a couple of years ago, you could go to a supermarket and you get free charging. Where I had to charge, because I had to park the car that I rented, it was a Model Y, long range. I had to park it at a multi-story car park about, 200 meters from where I was staying. And the charger they had, it was provided by the Austrian equivalent of Synergy, and you just get a card and an app. But what they do is when you plug in, they charge you by time, but they don't charge you by time while you were charging. They just charge you by time. So if you plug in and you leave the car there for 4 hours, you pay for 4 hours of charging at a rate per minute, which equates to about 50 euro cents a kilowatt hour, or a bit less actually. But if you only charge for half an hour and then you are still parked, plugged in for 4.5 hours, you get charged the whole 5 hours. So the pain of that is that you've got to diligently service your car. You've got to be aware of what it's doing and go back to it and unplug it. So obviously, if you had fast DC chargers nearby, it could be more convenient to just plug it in for half an hour and come straight back, unplug it, and then you have most of the charging done. So I do get that.
Looking at the plug share, though, they're that much further advanced because they've got the DC charging to get from major town to major town. So once you've got the spots in between, sure, come back and backfill. But getting from Perth to Geraldton at the moment is not much fun.
Exactly. And what Arena should have done is their first round of funding should have been for the rural charging network or outback charging 100%. Network, and not the urban charging network. They got it completely backwards, unfortunately.
Yep.
And I think that funding's.
But then they did stand there at the Synergy presentation and start talking about how many hoses were on the EV chargers, and I was like, really? So that's the logic they're using. Never mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to highlight what you said, Shane, that's a screen capture. Well, let's just go DC chargers because everything else is just a rounding error, really. So if we just go Tesla superchargers and fast DC chargers, that's Australia, and then all we've got to do is drag across, and then we just wait for it to load, which will take a while because there's quite a few pins that it has to load. And that's not, you think, oh, that's quite a few pins, but that's nothing like it. You just got to zoom in a bit and you just got to wait because there's not, and then that's not all of it either, because if you zoom in a bit more, it just gets better. It's like a fractal. It just gets better and better and better. And it's just out of control how many charging locations there are in Europe, and the States is just the same. So that's the first world. We're still in the third world. But anyway, well, it's not just that. It's successive governments have done it and continue to do it. The present federal government did promise at the previous election, or at the last election, same thing, to have an unbroken charger network right around Australia. And I mean, none of that has been implemented yet. None of it.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, Western Australia and South Australia are doing their own thing. The only government that hasn't declared a charger network is the Northern Territory. So the feds effectively still owe us a national EV charger network. which was promised at the election. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's not just one.
Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought a politician promising something and not delivering?
Exactly.
Who'd ever heard of such a thing?
It's outrageous. Outrageous. Slanderous. There you go. It's getting a bit late on. So has anyone got any sort of like last-ish drinks? Any other things that we might have missed over the last
Just
couple
one.
of weeks since James?
Quick question. I'm going to drive down to Dunsborough on Australia Day. We reckon the eating charges will be like.
Busy.
Yeah. Gee, Duns was a tricky one because you could have just gone all the way to Margaret River, but that's a bit of a you go past, isn't it?
I'm going to go from Karen up to Dunsborough, drop people off and come home again.
You could do it early.
Yeah.
Well, actually, excuse my ignorance, Australia, I haven't even looked what day that is. It's a Thursday. 26th, isn't it?
Thursday.
Yes. Well, that means that's the public holiday, isn't it? It's only an isolated public holiday. So look, I think you might be okay, James, because look, if it was on a Friday or a Monday, then you'd be hitting up against long weekend type territory. But if it's only on that day, I don't see anywhere near as many people doing the big commute, to be honest.
Right. I can't believe you called my car ugly.
It's my personal opinion. It just looks ugly to my eyes. I'm sorry. I don't think the Mitsubishi
I
IMEV.
think they're all right because he's got two of them. So there you go.
It's I think a Leaf is what's that saying? There's only one good-looking baby in the world, and every mother has one. Something like that. Beauty is in the
that I need to take off. So I just want to say thanks very much for all your help, Harold, again. And
no worries, Shane.
Talk to you soon.
Yes, very
Cheers,
soon.
everybody.
Tomorrow, in fact. Take care, mate. Cheers. See ya.
See ya. Bye.
I'm heading off very much. but
Yes,
we'll
Sarah,
catch up.
and yeah, we'll see you too. Yeah, no worries.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
See you. Good night, everyone.
No worries. Cheers. See ya.
Harold, I actually did have a question on behalf of a fellow Tesla owner at work. He's got a Model 3 and he's got, I was mentioning, because I've mentioned obviously coming on here and asking any questions, but he hasn't. But he did ask me what the cure is for, that issue with the Model 3 with the air filter, where it kind of, if you leave it for a while, it smells really horrible, because he said about 3 or 4 times a year he has to like clean it all out, and I know that people have asked about this before and that there's like a bit of a way of dealing with it, but
So how old is his Model 3?
He's had it a year and a half.
Because
So what would that be? Yeah,
I think within the last time really flies. It goes quickly and slowly depending on your perspective, but I think it was in less than the last 12 months, Tesla have changed the firmware version of their cars so that, and it at first sounds a bit annoying when you park your car after you've taken it for a moderate trip with the aircon running. When you park it, it'll run the aircon, or at least the blower, for many minutes after you've parked the car. And what that
like
does,
a turbo cooler.
yeah, and what it does is it's pulling in fresh, so it goes onto fresh air mode, no aircon. And the idea of the fresh air mode is to dry out the evaporator inside the car, which is all wet and moist and whatever. And that basically is intended to dry out the aircon system and stop the smells. The only thing I can think of perhaps is if his car is old enough to have, let's call it, gone moldy in the first place, then it might need a thorough clean once, and then it probably won't happen again, because Tesla have changed the way they make the aircon behave. But if it's started its life being super moldy, perhaps, then maybe even though it's being dried and stuff, it might come back every now and then. So I have heard
Does
of
that mean
people
that
doing.
does every Model 3 now do that?
I believe so. I know the Model Ys definitely do because I've seen mine do it all the time, and I'm going to be naive, but I'm presuming. Actually, James, don't you have a Model 3?
Yeah, one of each, Model 3 and Model Y.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they run for a long time.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. And that's
Yep.
just and are they relatively? They're reasonably new, aren't they? Or no?
Yeah.
Hey, Richard,
Sorry,
I've never,
how
I've
old
never
is the 3?
with my car,
Yeah. Right.
Model
Okay.
3, but I actually got my air filters changed out last month. They say 2 years, but I'm going to change them every 12 months because I had
Yeah,
the car up 12 months. It was like $68, man, to get it done in Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay.
But yeah, I don't. Some people have this bad socks. They call it a bad sock smell.
Yep.
But I've never had it, so I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah. My mate in the office.
So you might be unlucky. He might just be unlucky. And look, what he could do, I have heard, because before Tesla worked out what was going on, this is in America, the service centers would offer some ozone treatment. They would inject ozone, and that was supposed to burn off the fungus or bacteria or whatever it was that was growing, mold or whatever growing in the aircon system. But it kept on coming back after a while because Tesla didn't do anything apart from cleaning it. But I think now they've got this new flushing program. It does work.
Okay. So what should I just say to him? Look, book a service appointment with Tesla, and then get them to.
Yeah, well, look, the car's under warranty.
Yeah,
I'd start with the filters, Richard.
Yeah.
What, yeah.
Because I'll check with him tomorrow, because he said like 4 times a year he has to like quote unquote clean it all out, but I don't know what that means. Does he mean like change out the filters himself? Like, I'll have to check exactly what he means. Because I said if I thought, I remembered I'd ask, but
if he's got to pull it apart, if he's got to pull it apart 4 times a year, I'd be booking a service call.
Yeah.
Right out.
So is it that the system puts it on recirculate, and then if it doesn't, keep it on that?
No, I think it's just that. Look, maybe the way the aircon runs, or maybe the shape of the evaporator, the bit that gets cold, maybe it just still has a fair bit of moisture on it that doesn't really drip off as well because of its shape, or maybe where it actually collects as all the drips go onto the what would you call it, like the gutter or the tray bit or whatever. Maybe that doesn't drain away as good as it could, or something, or maybe the plastic's really thin, so where the water's sitting, maybe it warms up quite quickly and doesn't quite all drain away as effectively as it could, and therefore you then start getting mold or something growing because it doesn't fully dry out. And it might not actually matter if it's recirculate or not, because when the car's stopped, there's no airflow anyway. So look, I don't know if this happens to other car models, or maybe it's because Tesla are at the cutting edge of efficiency and form factor, that it's just something peculiar to their layout. But like I said, and as James has confirmed, they do run their fans on, I presume, fresh air after you've parked the car for quite a while. Like, look, I'm thinking 20 minutes up to 15, 20 minutes.
After you come back into the garage and it's still, what's that still going for? You keep on checking the aircon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So Richard, I think with your mate, he could, suss it out with Tesla. My gut feeling is it might just need one thorough clean just to make sure everything is clean, and then it should be okay. I mean, I do presume he's getting software updates. He must be getting updates, I presume.
He must have installed in the last year and a half for sure.
Well, just check.
I'll check. Yeah.
I mean, because he might not realise that software updates are a big thing, and if you haven't hooked up your car to Wi-Fi, unless there's a safety issue or unless Tesla specifically push it through the mobile phone network, you could go for quite a long time without an update. Although I think you do get warned. I think you get told periodically that you need to connect it to Wi-Fi because you might miss an important update. And I think there is a time limit because some people used to strategically skip updates so that things wouldn't get undone on their car.
Yeah.
But I think Tesla have now made it mandatory that they sort of say that if you don't have an update, you lose things like premium connectivity or other things, other features.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's worth asking the question.
Cool.
Right. Thanks very much.
All right. Anything else? Any last?
Yeah, just quickly then. Do you want to book a time in and I'll do a share a screen to see if it works? Not now.
Oh yes.
But another. I'm on holiday, so I'm free all the time.
I was actually going to do it today, but I just got super busy. No, very good point, James. One of the frustrations is, and what was weird is tonight I had to change. I changed all my feed to 4K, but then for some reason I also played with OBS a little bit, and that must have broken my resizing of myself in the intro. So then I had to do that at the start, obviously. But I need to do a few experiments.
On holidays, so I'm happy to leave an open session and you can play around.
Yes, and we can play. Yeah, we might have to do start a session, stop a session, start a session, see what it actually does. Because if I can get my feed to be 4K, then I know your screen won't be any bigger than 4K, and then it will work okay. But I was almost there tonight, but it all just went to custard as it does when you experiment at the last minute. But no, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll do. So then hopefully we can have 4K and great resolution. So it's all.
And Richard, I've got an ozone generator if he wants to borrow one. Use it for getting rid of mold and some rental properties.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll ask him. Thanks, mate. Very kind.
It's actually a big Tesla coil that makes heaps of sparks, mate.
It is, yeah. Literally, it is.
Is it a spark one or is it UV? It'd be a
no, it's a spark one. It's the
spark discharge. Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
In a
Very
box,
good.
so you don't get to see it, but you can look inside and see the little plasma.
Wicked.
Oh wow, awesome. That sounds very tasty.
No pets no pets or plants in the area.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Cool. Alrighty. Well, in absence of any other questions or comments, we might wrap this awesome show up. Obviously, Pete's not here with us because he's about to wake up in a few hours. But I think the way he would normally end this show is, how's it go? As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve. And of course, then that's my line to say, and the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. On that great note, good night, everyone. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks, mate. Night, everyone.
Thanks, Damo. Look forward to seeing you next week on Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.